At this time, I'd like to call the Monday, November 13th Planning Commission meeting to order. It brings us to the first item on the agenda, which is roll call. Altoff?
Here.
Charnel?
Here.
Daniels?
Yep.
Hema?
Here.
Lundell?
Here.
Price?
Here.
Pidd? Here. That brings us to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I've got a motion by Mr. Price and a second by Ms. Charnel. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to number 4, which is the approval of the minutes from the October 9th, 2017 Planning Commission meeting.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes from October 9th.
Second.
I've got a motion by Mr. Lundell and a second by Mr. Altoff. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. It brings us to number 5, which is public input. Citizens may speak to issues not on the agenda. Please approach the microphone and before speaking, give your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anyone here for something other than the rezoning? Hearing none, I will move on to the public hearing for tonight, which is the rezoning. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for the rezoning from urban reserve to residential 3.
So at the October Planning Commission meeting, the commission instructed staff to move forward with rezoning the lots in the Sandstone addition that had been zoned urban reserve, and we are moving forward with rezoning those to medium density residential, or R3. This is going to allow for individuals who are interested in purchasing these lots, which have already been platted, to move forward with the county purchasing the lots and constructing homes on the lots that they purchase.
Do we have any input from anyone here regarding this rezoning? Go ahead, come on up. We won't bite.
Chris Albrecht. I reside at 6670 Bluff Drive. I'm the one house up there right now in the development. We have purchased 2 of the lots, I would say, to the east of our property recently in the last couple of months. And just for clarification today, are we talking about rezoning the entire section of Sandstone, both by me and then over towards County 25, the second addition or whatever it is? Is that happening as well today?
No, it would just be the section on Cedar Hills Drive to Bluff Drive, and we're stopping at Sandstone Drive.
At Sandstone, so like the Sandstone, whatever that's seconded, that the portion off 25.
Yes, is not being rezoned.
Is not being rezoned. And I know that's not today's topic. Is that coming up at any point with thoughts of where that is going? Because I have some thoughts on that.
It's going to be brought up at the council meeting next Tuesday night, because isn't it next Tuesday? Joe Wheeler's going to be there?
December
Or the first
5th.
meeting in
The first meeting in December.
Okay.
The representative from the SEMCRA, Southeastern Minnesota Housing Redevelopment, is going to be there. And he has done a proposal for those lots by 25 that you're discussing.
Okay.
His original proposal included these lots that we're rezoning tonight,
Sure.
but because of the interest in building on these lots that has come about, we're rezoning these and putting them up. The county will be selling them.
Okay.
The council authorizes Joe Wheeler to come up with a plan for the whole.
Which is the SEMCRA,
Right.
the deal.
SEMCRA.
Is that are they looking at any other proposals other than Semcra? And it can be something be brought up that way, or
Not
Semcra
right
it?
now, not right now.
Not right now. It is just Semcra, that portion. Okay. Because I'd had some thoughts versus Semcra of senior housing up there, twin homes. And what would be the correct venue to, would it be then city council, or, so I actually have an investor coming up tomorrow to look at the properties in that section as well.
I can get you in touch with, it would be probably the city manager and then the economic development director, Dave Maroney.
Dave Morrow, I've talked to Dave. Yeah.
Okay, yep, so it'd be between those two. It would be, they're the ones who have been working with Joe Wheeler and Semcra.
Okay.
So if you wanted to get in touch with either one of them tomorrow before your representative comes, I'm sure they would be willing to talk to you.
Okay, all right. I think that's all that I have for right now then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do we have any other discussion about the lots on Bluff Drive?
Hi, I'm Ralph. I'm new to the community. Nice to meet you all. So, are there any thoughts on what this will do to property values in the long term or near term future? Any studies been done? Is it going to raise local property values, do you think? Keep them the same? Make them go down? No studies have been done on that?
No real studies have been done. This development has it's been kind of in the works for many years, almost 20 years, I know.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I'm new in town, but these people up here, they've been through all of this before. They've lived here for a long time. They can tell you when it was first platted, and it was kind of an environmental. The soils weren't good and everything, so it's
Yeah,
been.
I've seen the blue clay wash
Yes.
up when it rains. So I think I know what
So-
you're talking about.
Yeah, so we're really looking forward to having these lots finally developed on, because they have been sitting there empty for so long. So it's going to bring in more tax base for the community and more citizens and everything, which
Right.
is what we're looking forward to. So
And so they're all going to be single-family homes then? Just wanted to.
the areas that we are talking about tonight are going to be single family.
Okay.
What Mr. Albrecht was talking about is possibly going to be multifamily townhomes or twin homes.
And those will be on the other.
On the eastern side of where we're talking about.
Northeast corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right.
There is some single-family lots over there also. But depending on what we did with the zoning,
Mhm.
it could be twin homes or single-family.
Yeah.
So,
21 lots off over that way.
so are all of the lots already sold then, or are they being sold currently by the?
They are not all sold. They are currently in the hands of the county. Goodhue County owns them, and so I'm not sure how they are selling them. If it's a first come, first serve, or if they're putting them out to bids. I know they've been put out to bid in the past and things like that, but now with more interest, I would definitely get in contact with the county if you're interested in something like that.
And then so, how many are currently bought, and are we going to be expecting a lot of construction then next summer on that hill? I mean,
Let me see.
we're going to have like 5 houses being built at the same time next summer, or?
I am not sure. There's at least four lots that have been purchased already, and of those, there is a house that is already planned to be going up this winter already. So
Okay.
It's approximately 11 of what's being proposed to approve tonight that would be left for sale yet.
Okay. Well, sounds like a busy year next year. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Linda Dillon. I live on 68th Avenue Way, right up there that intersects with Cedar Hills Drive. This whole Sandstone Ridge project was a debacle from day one. I think everybody on the city council knows it.
We're not
I mean-
council.
Well, planning commission, whatever, right? The roads up
But
there.
never made any of those decisions back.
The roads up there are a disaster. The water sewer lines under those roads are a disaster. It's clay.
County's clay.
It's not the county's clay?
A lot of the
A lot-
county
yeah.
is clay.
Yeah. Well, I understand that, but I think years ago in that Sandstone Ridge, tried to get rammed down the city of Cannon Falls' throat very quickly. The developers had done no soil testing, nothing. But boy, the city ran in there and put in water and sewer, streetlights, and I think they jumped the gun big time. And it's been sitting there like a wasteland, and I understand people, the city of Cannon Falls wants housing to increase their tax base. I think we've got one development going out right across from the schools on Highway 19 that the city should just take one thing at a time, slow down, and kind of relook at this whole Sandstone Ridge thing. Again, it was a debacle back then. I don't understand how Semcra is gonna financially be able to afford to come in and dig out all that clay and put up an affordable house for someone. I'm not against development, but I think there are 2 developments underway in this town already that I think the city should just slow down, let those get filled up, and take things a little bit slow. This whole Sandstone Ridge, nothing's really changed out there as far as the soil conditions. I think who's gonna pay for all this? The county? The city? The taxpayers?
Are you talking about these 16 lots that we're talking about tonight?
Well, it's all part of the Sandstone Ridge
Or
development.
the
I just
the
think-
bigger multi-unit development is further away from this.
Yeah, I understand that, but once we get going, I think it's just the ball is gonna get bigger and bigger, and here we go again.
So these lots qualified to be rezoned because we looked at them, as I believe, the engineers looked at it as being developable. You know, not everything is able to be developed there. The land is too weird. But these lots were looked at as something that we could do, as I
something with?
understand. What's that?
Do something with?
I think it's, yeah, well, they're safe, I think. According to the engineers, but I understand what you're saying about the
Remember?
area that has that blue clay in it. That was crazy.
Well, it is still
Yeah.
crazy. It's not was, still.
Yeah, I don't know that this area has the same materials.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, I hope the city takes their time on this project and does the soil testing, et cetera, that needs to be done, the preliminary work.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that both the county and the city have done both of that.
How do you rezone it?
There's a monumental amount of paperwork.
It is, yeah.
If you stacked every piece of engineering, piece of paperwork up, it is a little over 5 feet high because it's laying next to my desk. And that's just the engineering paperwork.
Well,
on the
it
entire
sounds like
project.
there's a little
There is
more
some
being
lots
done
that are
this year.
decent, and there is some stuff
are
that
buildable.
we want to take a different look at
Yeah.
doing something with.
Well,
And
again,
I
I
think
just,
we as a city probably want to go as to where the interest is in the lots. And I'm not so sure that we have as much interest in other lots in other areas right at this given point in time. rather tough to steer people into where they want to live.
Well, you
People,
shouldn't
when they
have
come
to,
town and
you shouldn't have
look
to
at
steer
stuff,
them.
they-
Don't you
they
think you
look at
shouldn't?
different things.
You shouldn't
and,
have to steer them.
you know,
Yeah. I mean, people should be able to kind of pick and choose where they want to go, correct?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And there's more interest there than there is in other areas in town.
Okay, okay. Just my, I've lived across from that debacle up there for years and years.
Yeah,
And
nobody's saying that.
nobody's disagreeing with me on that deal?
I
can argue that one.
Got that one right? Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's all I get to say. Take your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Clayton Wilson. I am the president-elect of Sunrise Court there.
Could you speak into the mic, please?
I'm president-elect of Sunrise Court up there. We are cooperative, and I was just wondering if anything is going to affect us in any way, shape, or form that you guys have planned or are working on. I mean, if you're working on water, any water shut off, anything like that, in the upcoming future, anything like that?
Yeah, not that I know of.
Guess staff would be one to check with on that.
Not that we know of at this time. We're still looking into when individuals purchase each lot, what needs to be done when it comes to water and everything, but
Okay.
nothing should affect the Sunrise Village just because it's a little bit of a distance away, and we would definitely let everybody know and everything if
Okay.
something were going to affect them. So, but at this time,
What
I
are
don't
you
see anything.
anticipating as problems?
I have no idea. I'm just here representing that community.
Okay, so nobody's
So-
raised anything, so you just
No,
want to be
I
aware of
just-
what's happening?
I just seen the letter, and I'm
Yeah.
just participating on what's going on and representing my little community up there.
Yeah, good, good.
So,
That's great.
all right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other input? This is, this is definitely the public's opportunity to speak regarding the rezoning issue. So if you have something to say, definitely come up and let us know what's on your mind.
Can you share with us the history of how, not the,
What?
not the late history, but the recent history of how these 16 lots
Oh,
came up to us now?
yes.
You've got it all, so everybody can hear that.
So recent history that I know in the 7 months that I've been here. These lots, as many people know, were platted and proposed for development many years ago. They were rezoned to urban reserve, which only allows for one house per 10 acres. We had a request from a property owner in this area to build one house. And once that request came in, we determined that if anybody else wanted to purchase a home or purchase a lot to build a home, they would not be able to due to the current zoning. Therefore, the Planning Commission instructed staff, being myself, to go forward with the rezoning of these lots from the urban reserve back to the R3 or medium density residential, which allows for single family homes, in order so that if anyone wants to purchase a lot and construct a home, that it will be ready for them to do so as soon as they purchase the lot.
And the land was owned by the county, is that correct?
The land is currently owned by the county after it went into tax forfeiture.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sure.
Chris Albrecht again. One thing that you know, having been here now some time, is a good example of all this is the golf course. We remember when all the lots out there, half of them were empty, or, you know, nothing there. And over time, over the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen them build up, and now to where there's almost the entire portion over there by like Billsby is now built. And that's kind of was the thinking with this up on Bluff Drive. Nothing's going, I mean, you know, just to lay some fears, this isn't going to be suddenly kind of some kind of gold rush and free-for-all up there of things happening. But the thought is that instead of waiting for some kind of big plan to happen, we just nibble away at the small farms, similar to what happened along over by the golf course. Again, 20 houses over there that went up didn't all go up overnight. They went over a course of years. And each time the tax base for the city increased. We got another house, another paying tax member.
I wish it was our city.
Yeah. What? Well, yeah, I wish it wasn't Randolph. But you know what I'm saying? But you know, it's kind of a similar thing. And that was kind of what I'm seeing up there on Bluff Drive is instead of us trying to find this kind of grand picture to kind of fix the whole problem, let's nibble away on it as we go. Plus the roads that way. There wasn't so much as the infrastructure, according to Rick, a couple of our people, the plumbing and everything didn't heave or anything else. The road was never properly compacted and settled. When you actually run a level on the utilities, they're fine. The roads settle because it was put in late in the season and never properly compacted, and that's kind of what we're seeing with what it appears to be heaved. And that's really not until we get past this portion that we're talking about today. The roads up to this are in actually pretty good shape. And utilities, I know that the city's been by and they've taken a look at the engineering. The soil's a mix of sand and clay. We're not really into the real severe blue clay till we head to the other side toward 25. So some of the worry about this is not going to be this free-for-all of thousands of trucks toing and froing. But the thought is keep nibbling away, and one begets another. In other words, people go, oh, hey, someone else is like, oh, well, I kind of think I might like a lot up there myself. And that sort of thing keeps on going. And then maybe when we get to that border, we can take a hard look at this. And each time something like this happens, we put another house on the tax rolls. I'm sure there'll be some assessments on these lots, probably, that the city will be able to recoup some of their money back toward the utilities that were put in. It's only fair. Again, that's going to be reasonable, so that's not so expensive that you can't build in these kind of costs in each lot, but I think it's a doable thing. And that's been my thinking all along. Because I'm sure of everybody, I've literally lived in it for 8 years in the development itself, and there's a lot of potential there. And there's always been interest up there, but you just kind of got to get the ball rolling. And so, I mean, I super love Cannon Falls and want to be really respectful of my neighbors and everyone else. And I think that if we open up these kind of things with the rezoning and carefully just taking our time, I think it will just nibble away. And maybe in 5 more years, this is all nice single-family $200,000 to $400,000 homes. And that's going to help everybody's values of their homes and our tax base. That's my 2 cents. And just to kind of, because some people have been worried up there, that is going to be another debacle. And I really don't want that because kind of I'm in the middle of the debacle and I don't want it to happen. So I think it could work out pretty good. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you.
What does the commission think about rezoning?
What's that?
What does everybody feel about the rezoning?
Well, these lots, these lots were come on.
Ken Carpenter, City Council. One thing I do want to remind you guys and everybody listening is that whenever a house is built up there, it is going to have to withstand the engineering requirements that there is not the problems with the blue clay. So the county's going to be looking for these problems as each home goes under construction. So it's just a reminder that.
So you're saying both the county and the city will be hyper-vigilant over
Well, it's going to be more the county because the county has the building inspectors.
That's true, yeah.
We just approve, the city approves each permission to build the lot, but it's the county that inspects the soils the plumbing, and everything else.
And they did get burned pretty bad there. The county did. So they're gonna be pretty alert when they see this.
Well, the city got burned pretty good too,
Yeah.
because, to the point of over $200,000 for everything they put in the roads. And, as far as everything underground, I know that, Semcra was planning on, opening things back up so that they can make sure that, nothing has been heaved, the water, the storm, sanitary. They plan on re-inspecting that. That's what they said at one of the earlier council meetings this year.
The city has a fancy little camera, they can run down through all of it, and it's pretty economical to have it done. They charged me $500 to run the whole top end up there 7 years ago,
And-
and everything was fine.
And they expect most of it to be fine. But with the road broken up like it is, they're going to have to examine it and see where the problems lay and fix the problem on the roads.
County's gonna have to do the roads, right? I mean, if they own it,
No, it's the city.
City owns all that land. Well,
County owns
it's
it,
with,
but the
the
city has to
the county owns the lots, the city owns the development. It's all the whole development lies within the city limits. So I think Semcra is gonna be part of fixing those roads, at least on the east end. Because that's where Semcra is planning on doing their development, if it goes through.
The worst part up there is where the park is and where the multifamily stuff is.
Yep, and that's the area that Semcra is looking at. I just wanted to remind everybody of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, I think as a whole, doesn't the city have kind of a protection plan built in there to provide assessments per each lot to address a lot of the issues here as far as the street and the underground utilities that are in there?
Yes, and they're looking at this area specifically for the specific assessments that will need to be done for this area, so.
Yeah, and the staff has set up some type of a guideline
Yep.
as to where to go on after 75% of the houses or 100%. And each lot will be assessed X amount of dollars at that time. And
Yes.
I think we're probably pretty well covered then, as long as we stick to that.
Yeah, so thank you. I'd like to also echo Chris. I really like this town, and glad I moved here, especially that area up there. I just have a suggestion. So I and other residents up there, we walk our dog around, and I think it'd be great if the city invested in some sort of park maybe up there, especially if there's going to be, 16 new single, family homes. Maybe one of you could have your name on it.
There is a park up there already.
But it's not like developed up there though,
No.
right? I mean,
Mr. Pago mows it once a year right before the fair.
oh, okay. So I just think that would be a nice thing for the community as well, if there's any extra money left over by the city. Anyone else agree? Because, I mean, we all hang out up there and our people's kids, wander around. My kid's gonna wander around there someday, and, it'd be nice to develop it a little bit. And, I'd just like to put that forward, for consideration, so thanks.
Thanks.
Rick Knowlton's my name. I am the owner of 2 lots up there. The permit that Sam was talking about is one that they issued to me to build a single-family home. Semca, from what I understand, already has an agreement or a proposal proposal to the city. I've seen it. I don't know if you guys have it. You should have it. Ron Johnson emailed it to me about 2 weeks ago. And what they're proposing is to take over that development for free. They don't want to pay the county the taxes that are owed on the property or nothing. They want to take it over and start developing. Now, like Chris says, there's a few of us that would like to take maybe the house at a time as the buyers come forward. And that's what we started. I had 2 lots on my own property that I developed. My son built a house on one. Mother-in-law's gonna build on the other. Now we're coming down Cedar Hills Drive. We're still in sand. There's clay there, but we're able to put the footings and the backfill into the sand. We're drain filling it. We're working with the soils that are there and running drain tile around they're frost footings with no basements, the 2 homes that we've have started.
You're not putting basements in?
Nope.
You said? Okay.
They're slab on grade homes. 2 are in and 1 is gonna be dug tomorrow. To answer the other gentleman's about the park, there is a park in Sandstone Ridge. It's platted. But on Semka's proposal, they're taking the park out and they're putting residential homes in there. Is what I have. So that's something you're gonna have to look at too. There's,
Still has to run through council and through here.
yeah, but I mean, I'm surprised you guys don't have that proposal.
I don't.
'Cause I have it.
I haven't seen the proposal at all.
Yeah, I know, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, he told me when me and Babe were down here the other morning that none of that was approved and it wasn't set in stone yet. But he was making a lot of backtracks. He was trying to cover his bases big time.
All I know is the council gave him approval to give a proposal, nothing set in
Right.
stone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is what they're proposing to come forward with, whenever they're gonna do it, but.
And he can't agree to any of that on his own. It has to go through council.
So,
It has to come through here first, I think, and then it has to go to council and
the reason I bought
nobody gets a free ride in town, I'll
the
guarantee
reason I
that.
bought the 2 lots next to the ones I already own, 'cause I wanted to grade them, so they fit. So the one is a little high and it needs to be cut down. So that's where we're at. So the one lot that I bought, I did get the permit from the county, city. The other one sits unbuildable until it's rezoned. So that's kind of what we're after. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I've only see a couple people out here that haven't come up and said anything. Is there anything anybody else that's here would like to come up and share? Okay, at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing for the rezoning. That brings us to number 7, which is discussion item resolution 2017-12. Do I have a motion?
I'm in favor of it. I'd make a motion for it, but I guess I'd like to tie up a little paperwork so that it doesn't all of these lots, once we approve everything, that it's available for everybody out there and just not one organization to come in and make a suggestion and take over the whole works. I don't think that's very fair to the people that are here or the citizens in Cannon Falls.
Yeah, so I guess I can explain a little bit. I have seen that SEMCRA proposal that Rick was talking about, and essentially what we have decided with SEMCRA is that they are going to be only focusing on that northeast portion. This portion that we are going to be rezoning tonight is going to be out of their proposal. They are not going to have any involvement in these 17 lots or whatever number that is, 16 or 17 lots here. They are only going to be interested in that northwest portion by Highway 25, and their proposal is they are finalizing it and bringing it to the city council at the first meeting in December. If anyone is interested, that's when it'll be 6:30, same place. And that is when SEMCRA will be bringing forward the preliminary proposal to the council, which it will then have to come back through planning commission and council and everything, so.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion then that we approve what we have in front of us here this evening.
We had a motion by Mr. Price and a second by Ms. Charnel. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to number 8, which is Planning Commission member comments. Anybody have anything?
It's getting cold too soon.
It's funny how that cold does. It's really not all that cold, but it feels so much colder now than it does in the spring, right?
Thanks to everybody who came tonight
Yeah, thank you for coming and
in advance.
yep. And sharing your comments. It's appreciated. That brings us up to number 9, which is adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Price and a second by Mr. Hema. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, everybody.